Okay, so a few hours ago, I saw the play All My Sons, and I want to do my video assignment. So, starting with the plot, we learn the exposition of the story. We learn that, it takes place after World War II. We find out about Joe and Kate Keller. Joe's a successful businessman. He owns his company that, makes the parts, and, there was the whole thing with the planes. We learn of Kate, and we learn of their son Larry, who is missing, but she believes that he's still. Everyone thinks he's dead. They haven't seen him in 3 years, but she's like, no, he's still alive. They're gonna discover him. A couple weeks ago, they discovered a kid in Chicago after years, and she's kind of in denial about this whole thing. She seems kind of distraught, and she just seems like on the edge and kind of loopy the whole time. And then, so we learn the background, and then we meet, the neighbors, and then we learn of Anne, the Chris, the son that's still alive. He loves her and he wants to marry her, and we learn that Kate doesn't approve. This is part of like the rising action of the play. Then we learn about Anne's father and how he went to jail and everything with that. And then we learn that not Joe, yeah, Joe, we learn that Joe was supposed to come in that day, and he's very malicious about everything with the parts, and he makes sure everything is good. But he said he was sick that day, and ended up that Anne's father went to jail, and it was a big scandal, and it was a whole trial. And basically, people were like, oh, Joe was smart because he lied, and he didn't take the fall for it. So we learn of George, Anne's brother, and we learn he finally shows up. So this is kind of more towards the this is more towards the climax of the play, where he says that he's like, oh, I don't trust Joe. Joe did these horrible things, and then it kind of comes around, and then towards the climax, he's like, they slipped up. Kate slipped up. She says that, that, oh, if he hasn't been sick in years, and then he learns that you lied about that. That Joe, and the whole truth comes out, and we learn that Joe was basically lying, and he didn't admit to what he did, and he got his son Larry killed because Anne comes clean. She says, oh yeah, I had this paper from Larry. He basically committed suicide, and he's like, it's my father's fault. He was the one who shipped all these faulty parts on these planes, and he got all these men killed in the army. And his son Chris is just thrown completely off by this. He's like, I can't even call you my father. I can't look at you anymore. And the father feels horrible about everything, and in the end he kills himself. So that's the climax, and the mother just consoles him in the end. He's like, he takes Larry's words into action. He's like, you shouldn't be alive anymore, and he just does it himself. He feels all guilty for everything, and there was a lot of lies going on. So for the characters of the play, I went to the last theater production of an Inspector Calls, and there were a lot of the same actors for it too, and I thought they did an amazing job. I didn't think they could top that, but they really did good, because that was a good. So the lead guy Joe was also in Inspector Calls, and he he played like the same type of stock character. He played like an older, rich, wealthy gentleman. He owns a business, and he's very successful, and he's kind of has sons, and he's passing his business and his fortune on. So he kind of played the same character. And then this girl I is in one of my classes this semester. I don't know. I don't remember her name, but she was also in it. She kind of played the same type of character. The girlfriend kind of perspective, future wife. They're kind of setting that up. She played the same type of character, and she did amazing as well. That was another part that she did good. A couple other people that I've never seen before, like the two new neighbors. Not Anne's father, but the new neighbors who they play. I hadn't met them, but everyone seemed to do good. Just the one performance I was kind of the one performance that I thought that wasn't insanely strong, that wasn't great, was the woman who played Kate. She had a lot of parts where her being really emotional and distraught, and like she had a couple parts in the play where she just had to be up there alone and just spew out how she was feeling, and I think she kind of underperformed. I think that it seemed a little like rushed. I don't think that she was as good as the others, because they had more significant roles with that, but she was good. So for the spectacle of the play, I think just like I saw when I saw Inspector Calls, the art they really, there was only one scene as like an Inspector Calls. It was the backyard and people coming in and out of that, but there was no other scene changes or anything. So for what they had, I thought that they did amazing. Everything seemed real. You had the part where it was the roses. They actually had a rose there. They had, the lights would dim at certain points to make it like, change the effect of, oh my God, someone's like spewing the truth, or someone's like been caught in a lie, or we don't even know what it is. And they would kind of like, they would change the mood for that. I thought the costumes were good. I thought, it's showing the women look like they were from, after the war in the 50s. They weren't like, and so did the men. Like the costumes were designed well. Yeah, the set does it can effectively convey the time period in the setting of like after the war and all that. So I thought the spectacle was really good. And the theme of the play, so like the whole play, the theme is pretty like, it was about the truth and what is the truth and who is lying, and then guilt and responsibility for what you've done and whether or not people are telling the truth. So Joe, he finds out, he comes clean to everyone in his family. He tells Chris, he's like, yeah, I feel really guilty about this. And he was kind of in denial about with himself the whole time, but he admitted to it. And then, the family, like the Chris looked up to his father. He was like, at one point in the play, he was like, you weren't just a father to me. You were like a superhero almost. Like I believed you. Like I was sitting here believing, yes, my father didn't do this. People around my neighborhood might be like, oh, he got away with that, but he believed in his father and his truth, and then he was just betrayed. And then like love and loss, that was another theme. It's like he kills himself in the end. The mother, the whole play was unwilling to accept that Larry died, and then just characters had to confront their choices and the consequences of them. So those were the main themes of the play. And then, so the spectacle, the theme, the plot, and the characters. So I thought it was a very strong performance. I thought, just like Inspector Calls, all the actors were amazing. That girl's in my class. I'm going to tell her, good job. I told her last time after I saw Inspector Calls, I was like, you did amazing. So I'm going to tell her that again. And I thought I might, even though I might not take another class of this, I might go to one of the Professor Donarama's plays, just because I thought they're a cool thing to do on one weekend here, and all of them have been amazing so far. So I might just go on my own, even if I don't take another theater class. So yeah.